Where am I? I feel so alone. Oh, what's up, Matt?
I'm here.
Hey, Kev, what's happening? We just need some 70s porn music going on. I like it.
I need to
Welcome back.
stab.
There we go. There we go. Welcome back to Fade the Deuce. And let me tell you, the deuce has been fading. No pun intended. That's a lie. But still,
name of the show for a reason.
38, 30. We've seen Kev really had fooled you guys for about 3 or 4 weeks. You guys thought this man was.
No, he had a good solid 7 weeks.
Yeah, he was great. 38 and 33, still pretty damn good.
It
Up
is.
7.5 units. Matt McCumber, 32 and 39, down 9 units. But he's been really good on his locks of late. So if you're
3-0 last 3 weeks.
0-3 the last 3 weeks.
If you're gonna mute Matt, do it the first 5 picks tonight, and then get that lock, take him off, and then you're gonna be making that moolah tonight with that. So let's get to it. Starting the first game of this week, BYU hosting Kansas. BYU has used, I feel like, a lot of their luck, their juju. It's like you only get so much, man. Eventually, the football gods take it from you. And let me tell you, Utah's athletic director is not too happy with BYU or those Zebras. So 3-point favorite at home. Is that a little surprising to you guys? Is it because Kansas just tallywhacked Iowa State, or is it because BYU maybe has looked more beatable of late? So we'll start with you, Matt.
Yeah, I think this is a team destined by Joseph Smith here because I tell you what, they've used all their lives. They've played some really close games in the last couple of weeks, had to eke out the Holy War. And let me tell you, I mean, 4th and 10 from your 5, get tackled on the 1-yard line, and then you see some laundry on the field for a hold. And they go on to score the winning touch. Well, they score a touchdown, then they kick a field goal to win the game. So it was, or they didn't score a touchdown. They kicked the field goal to win the game.
BYU fans would say they're a team of destiny, though. Probably
correct. They saved their season. Absolutely 9-0. I think this is a little bit of a market overreaction. What KU just did to Iowa State, they whacked them. It was 45-36.
It wasn't that close.
Yeah,
it wasn't. Yeah, correct. It wasn't that close. Kansas playing some good ball. They've figured some things out. Played K-State very tough at K-State. Probably should have won that game too.
Yep.
I mean, they were up.
They just did what they do, though. But still,
exactly,
they won
the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the ball with about 5 minutes left to go and up and ended up losing.
Yeah.
I think this BYU team is a different team in Provo. 3 or less, I'm going to take the Cougs all day long, especially of how they've just been able to pull out games. KU very susceptible to turning the ball over. And so I'm going to think they're going to make more mistakes in this game than BYU. I'm going to take the Cougs -3 at home. 1 unit.
Okay. Kev?
Not so fast, my friend.
Not so fast.
You know what? I started to do more research because Matt always had the stats. He's like, this team is 28th in total offense and all this stuff. And my numbers went to shit. So I'm just going with gut. I'm going back to the –
I know.
My gut tells me that Miami's luck finally ran out and maybe BYU's does. BYU struggled at home a couple weeks ago against a bad Oklahoma State team. I know it was my lock, BYU in Provo.
They did.
I think Kansas is playing for something here. That looked like a really inspired team last week. They've not been housed by anybody this season. They've been in just about every game. I think that Kansas has got a little mojo here. I think we get the better quarterback and Jalen Daniels. As long as it's not turning over like Matt says, I think Devin Neal is a difference maker here. I think the Jayhawks keep it within the number. I'd love to have a hook here. I'd love to have -3.5 and take KU plus a 3.5. So with that said, I'm going KU
to win.
Plus the 3 for a half a point here.
Do you think Kansas is going to win then if they're covering that?
I think they can win.
Okay.
I mean, you look. I mean, they've lost by 3. They lost by 6 to Illinois, 3 to UNLV, 4 to West Virginia. They did lose by 9 to TCU at home, which is a bad loss.
That's the worst one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. 4 against Arizona State. Like they 2 to Kansas State there. I think this team is finding something, and they're a better football team. I've said all along, this is the best 3-6 football team in the country that has just found ways to lose. Maybe they find another way to lose, but they do it within the number of quarters.
And the worst one of all that we're not really talking, that West Virginia game that you mentioned, they were up 30. They were up by 11 with 4 minutes left, and they blew the game. Yeah, it's just like it's almost like there's no way that could be fathomable, but they found a way to do it. Illinois had them rattled. That was the week after Illinois, I believe. I know it's UNLV after Illinois. That had them all rattled and shaken. But anyway, I like that pick. I think Kansas thinks they can make a bowl game, and I think if they can get
that's what I'm playing for. Yeah,
if they can get past BYU, I think they have a good shot to do that.
That should be their only motivation.
Yeah, definitely. And Lance Leipold
and focus.
Yeah, definitely.
And Daniels has thrown 1 interception in the last 4 games. So he's got 8 on the season, but 1 in the last 4 games. He seems to have been cleaning it up a little bit. He still is very erratic with his completion percentage. But we also know what that guy can do on the ground. He's got a touchdown rushing in each of the last 4 games. I think that's why I think Kansas scores enough to keep this within the number. Even though BYU's got like a top 30 overall defense.
If there's this is just me having some sprinkling, as you like to call it, sprinkle a little bit. If there's a Luke Grimm from Kansas, I'd sprinkle some money on that guy because that dude's money. If you look at his thrown to receptions to touchdown ratio.
I really like him.
That's last week. Yep.
Yeah, like he's just been money all year.
He's like a little bit of a Restrepo from Miami. A little slot receiver, gets it done.
He reminds me more of Cooper Kupp at Eastern Washington. To be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's really good. And I'm not saying I said he's the NFL MVP. I'm just saying he reminds me of that guy, or offensive MVP of the NFL, like Cooper Kupp was. But so yeah, I would look at that if that's anything you can put money on because
you could do an anytime touchdown on folks who are in Illinois could probably get him on a anytime touchdown on FanDuel or DK.
So let's move on to.
I got a little juice on it too. So
yeah, Athletic Coast Conference. Clemson at Pitt. Pitt his I think they've lost 2 in a row, right, guys?
They have.
Yeah, haven't looked very good doing it either. So Clemson 10-point favorite in Pittsburgh. I think 10's probably a decent line because this is probably one of those Matt specials, as you like to say, where Pitt's looked so terrible the last couple weeks. Oh man, they look so bad. Clemson's going to beat them by 3 touchdowns, and then now you're like, wait a second, they've got there's still talent on that defense. And Clemson still looked vulnerable last week against Virginia Tech.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I feel like 10's probably about right, but we'll start with you, Kev.
Yeah, I don't like anything about this game, so I'm going to move off of the spread here, and I'm going to roll with the total. I think I got it here. I'm pulling it back up at 54.5, I believe, and I'm going to take the under here. I like both defenses better than their offenses, especially of late. It's just tough for me to get a read here. Either one of these teams, both these teams. I mean, I was on Clemson 2 weeks ago when they lost to Louisville, which shocked me. Like I said, they did not look like the team that had been rolling previous to it. In the follow-up game against Virginia Tech, Pitt has looked like they stubbed their toe. They would have been beat by Syracuse, in my opinion, had Syracuse not thrown 3 pick-sixes. This is a Pittsburgh offense that's struggling to score. The over/under at 54. I like the under there, and typically if you're leaning the under on a 10-point spread, that would probably have me leaning Clemson as well. But I'm gonna stick with the under for a half unit at 54.
All right, Matt.
I like that play over what we got going here. I don't like this game either. It could definitely go either way. I would not go to the window with the ticket here. But to the exact words of Ryan, this is McCumber special here because I agree with everything he said. This is a team against the wall. They've looked terrible the last 2 weeks. They got blown out against SMU and then came back home and played Virginia, a mediocre Virginia team, decent but mediocre, and can't win that home game versus Virginia. And so I think, people are kind of writing them off. They've dropped out of the college football playoff now, out of the top 25. They got a quarterback, Eli Holtzman, that was injured, left the game in the third quarter, didn't help. He's listed as the number 1 QB right now, but he's a little banged up. Their whole team is. I tend to go for the team that, the hungry dog runs faster kind of thing. And so I'm going to go ahead and take the Pitt Panthers at home against an upstart, they can be upstart. To Kev's point, they were pathetic at home versus Louisville, but I'm going to go with the Pitt Panthers plus 10 at home.
Is this home dog prime time? Is this not prime time?
No, it's 11 a.m. kick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
of course.
So, yeah. I really like Kev's play here, though. The under 11 a.m. game. I think you're going to see some sludge the first half. Guys get going, and again, there's injuries on the Pitt side, so I would lean towards the under 2. But for the sake of the show, I'm going to take Pitt plus 10.
And you're trying to catch Kev.
Exactly.
Are you going to half on that, Matt?
Half unit.
Yes, sir.
Remember, this is a competitive show because the winner at the end of this, we haven't really discussed what one has to do, whoever wins, but I'm sure it's probably put a chunk of money on a game that they're asking.
No, Matt's has got to buy me a steak if I win and when the next time I'm in Dallas or vice versa. So.
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. Yeah. I just feel like Matt's maybe a little distracted tonight. Maybe some action going on's a little bit.
Buffalo just threw a touchdown with 1:49 left.
They're going for 2?
They're going to have to.
I was about to say your brow's getting a little sweaty, Matt. Just making sure you're all right up there.
45-43.
Okay. So the damn Maction always has everybody worried about it. They do that on purpose.
They sure do.
It's a great ploy by that conference to play the midweek games at this point in the season. It is so intelligent on their part. I tip my hat to them. Heck, we got Miami of Ohio against Kent State tomorrow night. Miami of Ohio giving 30.5. I kind of like it.
Kent State might be the worst team in the history of college football, but
it's terrible. They're 0-9.
Yeah, I think what was it? I think St. Francis of second D2 school beat them this year. Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah,
like their second game of the season. Yeah, they're bad.
Yep. Okay, so let's go to where the real big boys play, man. It's where the big boys play. Let's go to the AAC. And we're going to go to back in the wrestling days. Remember WCW, where the big boys play. We're going to do Tulane and Navy. And this one is in my opinion, an AAC eliminator, title game eliminator, because Army's pretty much got their spot wrapped up in that. No matter what happens with them next week in Notre Dame, that doesn't affect the American Athletic Conference record. Navy's lost. There's a surprise, shocking loss to Rice a couple weeks ago, which was just weird. Then they came and dominated USF last week. Tulane has entered the college football playoff rankings tonight. They are number 25, right behind Army at 24.
Yep.
They are a 7-point favorite over the Navy midshipmen, who Navy looks like they've rebounded a little bit. I think Horvath was injured against Notre Dame and then didn't look completely healthy against Rice, but it looks like he's back to form.
Yeah.
So that could come into play here. This is for you, Matt. Tulane, obviously a formidable team, took Kansas State to the wire earlier in the year. What say you here with this game?
Yeah. So to your point, I think Horvath is finally got his footing back after being not so healthy the last couple of weeks. And I like in this game, this is a play for me of a team that's not really familiar with playing against a team to the caliber of Navy and what they run. And for me, when I look at this game and try to analyze it, 7 is too much for me to be given on Tulane for somebody that they're not very familiar with, and how they operate. So I'm going to go midshipman here plus 7 at home. Big game for both. Don't get me wrong. I think Tulane is very talented. They can score. They've scored all season long. But I'm going to go with the toughness and grittiness of the midshipmen, and give me a touchdown. I'm going to take it. So I'm going to go midshipmen plus 7 here.
Kev,
they can score. Navy can score.
Yep.
Navy. You don't put too much into that Rice game, man. That game was supposed to start at 2:30. I think it started at 6. It was the storms got pushed everything back. It was a little nutty Saturday before last. I actually went to the window on that one and got my ass reamed. So I had to recover in that one. I like over 54 here, and I'm going for a unit on this one. Tulane can be really explosive in the offense. And then, just like Matt said, if you watch that Notre Dame game, Navy's still able to rip off some plays. And that's what Navy's going to do to you. They're going to be able to – they're going to boom, boom, boom. The next thing you know, they're going to rip off a big play. They're going to score a touchdown or two. And I think I think this game ends up being somewhere like 34-27. It puts it around the 61 number. The 7 number is a little iffy for me. I'm with Matt. I lean Navy here, especially at home. I worry about Tulane's big play offense. I think this is the best passing offense that Navy's probably seen up there with Notre Dame. So I'm going to take Tulane can run it too. I mean, they ran all over Charlotte earlier in the year. Darian Mintz is a really good quarterback. He's had a great year so far. Mekhi Hughes, great running back there for Tulane. So I'm going to take the over 54 here I'm going to go for a unit on this one. So,
and mine was for a unit too, plus 7 maybe.
And I feel like I'm cheating because I go with the over unders and you don't ever do them. So I mean, and I know you love playing them. And
yeah, it's okay. I mean, I next week I'll give you one. I'll give you an over under.
All right, let's move to the SEC where we've got 2 matchups to finish up the 5-game slate before we get to the locks. LSU travels to the Swamp to take on Mr. Billy Napier, who has got his job saved formally for this year, at least to have some sort of maybe. I don't know why. I don't know why they came out and said that, but anyway.
Better watch out, Todd Golden too. Jeez.
Oh my
God.
Hold on.
They got enough going on.
Yeah, there's just so much there. I could make so many cracks right now. I'm not going to. But so 4.5-point favorite, LSU in the Swamp. Florida has been playing better of late. Last week, I mean, maybe was it just because you're at a hot Texas, or is it maybe the whole distraction of the coach thing? I don't know. But Florida has been playing a lot better of late. This is in Gainesville. LSU's coming off a thumping
beatdown.
They just got destroyed.
Yeah,
and that Southern accent from Brian Kelly, who's from Boston, came out in the post-game presser. I'm like, wow, man, is that a Boston, Southie accent from Baton Rouge? So we'll start with you, Kev. LSU 4.5 points in the Swamp.
I don't know who either of these teams are, right?
Man.
Florida all of a sudden showed like they were playing with a little bit more fight recently. They obviously have a very tough schedule. LSU, the moment I jump on them, they just get smashed at home after being smashed against Texas A&M. So you kind of look back at them and say, okay, so they beat Ole Miss on the final play of the game, a game they didn't lead at all. They should have lost to South Carolina. They beat a mediocre USC team that got them a lot of love.
Yeah, go ahead, Bubba. Get in the shower. You're good. Yeah.
I mean, their best win, where from a dominant standpoint, is probably the Arkansas game. I think they were tied with UCLA at half when UCLA couldn't do anything at that point in time in the season. I don't know who these teams are. So when I get put
I don't even know who you are anymore.
So when I get put in these situations, I typically like to go with the team catching some points, but
Yeah.
they looked so bad in the first half last week against Texas. So bad. Now they were, and they played. They put up a good fight. Florida put up a good fight in the cocktail party against Georgia. Put up a good fight against Tennessee. Whooped Kentucky. Like I don't know, man. I don't like.
But and in the LSU though, to not even show up at home and Death Valley though. I mean, come on. Like it's one thing to not show up on the road at Texas. It's another to be at home in a bitter rivalry and just
I'm gonna do it again. It's a magic number for me this week. Under 55. I'm gonna take the under. I don't believe in either one of these teams. I think LSU's a fraud. I don't think Florida. I'm gonna take under 55 for a half unit. Fuck it.
That's where I'm going with it.
Wow. Okay, Matt.
Yeah, I mean everything Kev just said. I was cussing the TV last week at Garrett Nussmeier. I thought he was absolutely atrocious. I couldn't believe he was the LSU quarterback, knowing that he was. But I mean, to put that product out on the field, the fans showed it. I mean, they all left by the start of the fourth quarter. I've never seen Death Valley look like that before, but he was absolutely awful. And there's just nowhere to go for him. I mean, but up. And I feel I'm hoping he gets his head straight this week and is motivated in some form capacity to pull out a win in the swamp, because to Kev's point, I don't know who these teams are, and I can't go with a Gators team that looked so bad last week as well. They couldn't score. I didn't think they were going to score. Yeah, they scored some points in the second half, but I think, what was that? 49-17. It just
– It was 42-0 at halftime.
42-0 at half. I mean, it was an abomination. I had
my quad box up. Every time I looked up, Texas was scoring a touchdown. The most entertaining part of that whole game was the Undertaker came on a little bit after halftime. Came up in the booth.
I absolutely hate I hate both of these teams. I don't think LSU is any good, but I'm going to take them here on the road just because of the ass kicking that they took last week. And, there's nowhere to go but up. So give me the Tigers in the swamp -4.5.
Come on, give me your best Brian Kelly.
From Baton Rouge.
I'm like, you Southern devil.
Hey, maybe it's wearing off on him. Who knows? Maybe
he's feeling himself a little bit.
Yeah, him and Lainey Wilson.
I don't know that one. What do you mean?
What'd you do?
I'm just confused. I'm not up on this. What?
Oh, the Lainey Wilson.
The Lainey Wilson. Yeah, you're going to have to tell me what that means.
Country music's just search her name. Her twang is ridiculous, and everybody thinks that it's on purpose. Like she's playing a character.
Yeah, because she was on Yellowstone for a few episodes, wasn't she?
She was, and she's doing Thanksgiving halftime show here in Dallas. Yeah. So there's been a whole deal.
By the way, since they're playing the Giants, there might be some fun game. There might be actually something to celebrate.
The only thing to worry about on Thanksgiving is Illinois.
We'll be watching Illinois, Arkansas, man. That's what we're going to be watching.
Guys, I don't want to watch that game. I don't want to watch the early game on Thursday. The Thanksgiving.
And how that's like the Bears garbage, the Cowboys are trash. It's like,
guys, you would not believe the sports talk radio this week here with the Cowboys. It's just comical.
I know it's not what we're here, but I feel bad for Mike McCarthy just a little because I don't know if you heard his little joke. He made mention about the sun in their eyes or something. Yes. Jerry Jones doesn't care about the curtains, and CeeDee Lamb's like, I can't see the ball, there's sun in my eyes.
Hey, Lainey Wilson sang "Heart Like a Truck."
She did,
and then lost her dumps like a truck.
She sure did.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go, girl? Go back to eating them red beans and rice, girl. We're missing that. The truck got skinny and it went all the way.
That was a fail by her.
What was that? One time losing weight was not a good idea.
You went from
that's that Ozempic diet.
Oh my gosh, goodness. Anyway,
Brozempic.
So, exactly. Whose dog is that? All right.
Yeah. Relax.
Okay, man. Don't be talking about that's it. Lainey Wilson's his girl. You don't be talking about her like that.
Yeah.
All right. UGA, Tennessee. That's in Athens. Or is
Yes.
that- okay,
Yeah.
Okay. So Tennessee travels to Georgia, and it sounds like they're going to be starting a backup quarterback, which might be a little more. I don't know if you saw this, but Falica, the Bear, mentioned that Nico, what's his name?
Yeah.
Nico Lomavela doesn't probably play this weekend because he's going to have a
Yep.
concussion.
Yep.
He's out. Chris Falica just mentioned that tonight, just so you guys know that. I wanted to bring that into play here because I saw that the line was 10.
Yep.
So, and Georgia's struggles offensively were one thing, but now without Tennessee's starting quarterback, that could add a little bit to your pick. So maybe, Kevin, you didn't know that, so I wanted to bring that to your attention before we go to the pick. So this is the final pick. So this is you, right, Matt?
Yep.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I'm gonna go here with the Georgia Bulldogs -10 at home because it's a bounce back after last week and what happened at Ole Miss. I mean, 28-10, they look pretty bad. Couldn't score. Credit to Ole Miss. I mean, they really put it on them. And Georgia's kind of fighting for their lives here a little bit, college football playoff, and coupled that to your point with the Vols starting quarterback probably not playing. I think I put it at about 95% not going to play. And they got a backup. The backup came in. I was watching most of the game. They had a hard time moving the ball once he was in. Now, yeah, they scored a couple times late. It's Mississippi State. But I'm going to take the Bulldogs here -10 at home. It's a get right. Hopefully, I think they see a little bit of blood in the water here with a QB that hasn't been in this type of environment, this type of game all season. So I think they jump all over them and get out to a fast lead, and Tennessee can't catch up. So I'm going to take the Dogs -10 at home.
And real quick, Kev, before you go, SEC is going to have 1-2 loss team they're not making the college football playoff. So you're going to see and even though we probably know, so it's 4 2-loss teams with Texas with 1 loss. Well, so let's even forget the SEC title game thing. But heading into that SEC title game, you're going to have Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Bama all at 10-2. So one of those teams is not going to make the college football playoff. If you think about it, because Indiana's going to make it at 11-1, Penn State's going to make it, Ohio State's going to make it, Oregon's going to make it. 4-4, you're going to have Boise or Army. You're going to have Miami or Clemson or whoever. And then there's one of the Big 12 champion. So it's just the numbers don't add up. So it's crazy to think this Tennessee could be the odd one out. It could be Ole Miss. So Tennessee needs this game too. Because if they lose this game, Tennessee probably ain't making the college football playoff. Kev.
I don't care that Nico might not play. And here's the reason why. I think that Tennessee might be the best defense in the SEC. And now that's saying something. There's a lot of good defense there. I'm buying the defense to keep it within the points here. Georgia's offense is a mess. Carson Beck is a mess. Like he's even in games that they're winning, he's throwing 3 interceptions. And I went into this and I was like, once you guys said the Nico stuff, I was like, I'm going to be out. But then I looked up who the backup quarterback is for Tennessee. Does anybody know the backup quarterback for Tennessee's name?
I forget.
It's Gaston Moore. No one fights like Gaston, douses lights like Gaston. In a wrestling match, nobody bites like Gaston. So I'm going Beauty and the Beast here, and I'm rolling with Gaston Moore and the Vols. I guess you guys did not expect some Beauty and the
What
Beast.
a name.
Gaston, right? We got a clip in its chin like Gaston. No, I just looked it up. I was like, screw it. I'm rolling with it. I had Tennessee on this one, and it wasn't because of Nico. It was because of I believe in their defense, and I'm not believing in Georgia's offense. This is over-unders at 48.5. No, Nico, I really kind of like the under, but I'm gonna go with the Vols for a unit here. I don't know that anybody's 10 points better than the Vols right now, and so let me roll with that and see what happens.
I can dig it. Didn't
So,
think
can you dig it, fool?
on my bingo card of things I never thought I'd hear on Fade the Deuce would be Kevin singing Gaston from even though I do enjoy that because a couple of times I've been called him around my house. But
hey.
Sure.
hey now.
I'm sure. So something you have to understand, Ryan, you met my little brother, my little sister. They're 10 and 12 years younger than me. So they're about your age.
Yeah.
And so as a kid, when I would babysit them or something, they loved Beauty and the Beast. I watched it religiously with them. I think it's a pretty good movie. So there you go. I do have an affinity for them, for that movie, because it reminds me of them. So
I can dig. All right. Kev, hopefully you've been looking up your locks.
I had it before. I had it once we started the show.
Okay, so I'm going to be looking up mine because I missed 3 in a row. Of course, Boise wants to keep Nevada around. I'm like, give me a break. Could you guys just put them away? It's like, no, we want to keep it just distance right here. And I'm like, people are going to think this guy doesn't even watch anything. Like, no.
Vegas is proving and it's doing what it does. I've stood by this. I think the Joes can get away with it early in the year, and the Sharps start to pick up at the end of the year. I like real life, real world talking about this. Matt and I can talk our shit. I can have a better record than him. Matt is more about this life than I am. I'm fascinated by the lines. I go to the window with $10, $20, $50, maybe. That's a huge bet for me. Matt does a little bit more than that. So let's be real here. He's the sharp. He's the reason he got invited to this show is because he is the sharp, and you see that he is starting to close in on these totals. So
there's more. See his eyes looking up at that TV? That's mortgage money looking right up there.
Yeah. It is.
It's 45 all, right? Boise and Buffalo.
Overtime, but Buffalo just threw a touchdown pass to win. But it's being reviewed.
Well, all right.
Do you need them? Do you need it to go? Are you for Buffalo or?
Yeah, I mean, I took them early second half to live money line.
For your sake, it's never good to be like turn around when we get off there to have you be like, honey, can't pay the mortgage this month.
I'm financially responsible. I'm never that bad.
Yeah. All right. So, Kev, we're going to start with you with your lock this week.
All right. So a lot of times when you're doing these, you look at like you're betting on a team, but a lot of times you're betting against the team. And I am looking at something here. I like Matt did it a couple times with Florida State, and it worked out well for him. I've looked at Kent State a couple times as an opportunity for this, but I am going to go with University of South Florida giving 3 to Charlotte at home. Now, South Florida is not very good. It's a bad defense, but Charlotte's is just as bad. And worse. Charlotte's offense is they're like 150. They're 109th in total defense and 115th in total offense. I think USF's played a much tougher schedule to lead to their defense being as bad as its ranking is. I think they're at home. That's goalish, right?
Yeah, it's goalish. Yep.
Yeah, give me USF minus the 3 there at home against, and it's a bet against Charlotte, who I think is dog shit. I think South Florida is going to be able to run the ball effectively against them. I think South Florida is more talented all the way around. It's probably recruited better. Played a much, much tougher schedule so far this season than Charlotte. So I'll take South Florida minus the 3.
As I'm scrolling, looking very evilly and deviously at the game that I want to pick. Go ahead, Matt.
So I'm going to stay in the state of Texas here with 2 Texas schools, University of North Texas at UT San Antonio. I'm going to go with the boys up in Denton, North Texas minus 2 at UT San Antonio. UNT last week home against Army. They had 3 chances in the red zone, 2 picks in the end zone that were awful throws by Tanner Morris, who was the former quarterback at SMU. This guy can play. He had an awful week. He was off. I think UTSA's defense is not very good. I'll give UNT defense credit last week, holding Army to only 17 points. I think they might have found a little something there, maybe got some discipline back. This over-under is in the 70s. So I expect a lot of points here, but I think UNT is going to come out. They're going to find it again. They're going to, some mistakes they made last week, not going to happen against this caliber of team. They're going to score, I think, 35 plus here. I don't think you give me less than a touchdown. I'm going to take North Texas on a bounce back -2.
Okay.
I love it. I was, we talked about it on the show last week. I liked the under in that Army North Texas game. I didn't like it like that under. Holy crap, 14-3.
Yeah.
But what I saw was a North Texas team that I think you're changing the class and the defense that you're playing, and you're changing the class and the offense you're going against. Their defense really impressed me. I love that pick. I like that pick a lot.
Now, I was going to go on a limb here for mine and pick Alabama money line over Mercer, but it won't let me. It's not applicable. That's what it says. So I'm like, come on, man, really?
You gotta lay out $10,000 to win $10.
And then I was like, fine, okay, touche. How about this? I raise you Kentucky Murray State, and it says no, not applicable. And I was like, well, I can't bet on that either. So I was like, okay, I got one then. Since the Big Ten is my thing for Mike Farrell Sports, in my latest article, I have Big Ten power rankings from week 11. There's one team that's on the front page of this article. They're surging right now. They're playing really well, and that's UCLA, okay? They're an 8-point dog in Washington, okay? UCLA has been playing some really good ball of late. Not only did they go to Piscataway and put 35 on a Rutgers team, but then they go to Lincoln and beat Nebraska, who can taste a bowl game, man. But they couldn't get the job done. UCLA held them firm inside the red zone on the goal line so many times I can't even count. And then what do? They come home and out Iowa.
They sure do.
They're looking like they're catching on to something. Washington is just like, when you look, I wrote this in my article, when you look up average in the dictionary, there's a picture of this year's Washington Huskies team. They're just average. And Will Rogers is their quarterback. They don't finish drives. They settle for field goals. Defensively, they've given up big plays, big 41 to Iowa. Just have been very disappointing this year. I think if UCLA doesn't win, I think they're going to be within the number of 8. I think UCLA is looking like a team that can make a bowl game. I think this is one that I think they can win, but I'm going to pick UCLA to cover the 8-point spread in Seattle.
Guys, we missed a layup of layups on our locks here tonight.
What?
Now, granted,
I really like that pick, by the way.
I do too. This is a college football show, right? But we don't have bylaws. We don't have rules. I'll tell you this, for those folks outside of the state of Illinois, minus 23.5, over 51.5, 2-team parlay. Lock that in. Oakland sucks. That is they are bad. They are terrible. I almost would lean towards Illinois on the over team total of 150. Illinois is going to hang 115 on them tomorrow night.
Oh my gosh.
Illinois wins that game by 30 to 40 easily, and it goes way over the 150.
Yeah.
Illinois wins this game like 105-60.
I've got it.
Not the same team that beat Kentucky last year.
They're not good.
I've got an X tweet that I've got saved. I'm not sure when I want to post it, but about when everybody starts coming in and going ooh and on over Illinois, and right now they're sleeping on them. And I'm thinking, okay, I know you don't care about the rankings, but as they play Bama, Arkansas, Tennessee over the next 4 weeks, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, is this the best freshman class in the Big Ten? Is it that good? It's like, yeah, it is. Yeah.
I don't know. I think what you're going to see with this team early on is I think this is a team with their overall talent is going to dog walk teams they're supposed to dog walk, and will probably lose some of these tough coming up games. But I think this is a team that, because you've got 9 to 10 guys that can all put the ball in the basket, with the exception, Merez can put the ball in the basket, especially against these smaller front courts that you're going to face or not as athletic. There's somebody on the court that's going to be able to go for 25. And I think that Illinois dog walks Oakland. Have you been able to see a team total on that for Illinois by chance, Matt?
No, I can look real quick though.
I was trying to find one here.
Let me look at the team total here.
But anyway, while you're doing that, Ethan Garbers from UCLA, their quarterback, man, he's been on one lately.
Dude, running the ball too. Yes, they could not run. They were the worst rushing offense in America a couple weeks ago, and they ran all over Nebraska. They ran all over Iowa. Not all over, but all over comparatively. Well over 100 yards in both games. Like, they figured out the run game. They might win that game.
Here's the thing. He transferred from Washington too a few years ago.
Oh, Garbers did?
Yeah. So this is going to be a big game for him, no doubt.
No team total yet. Usually it comes out day of.
Right. I would imagine the Illinois team total is probably going to be 84.5, 85.
I was going to say 85.5.
Yeah. I like it.
This Duke-Kentucky game is a 4-point game, by the way, right now. So
yeah, I got Kentucky money plus 145. So crisis averted. Buffalo won.
Hey, and on that Kentucky game, like, I was looking at it too. I wanted to lean Duke, obviously, because they've got the more high profile. But oh my goodness, is Kentucky old comparatively? You're playing
exactly.
Really old.
That's why.
So I kind of like that bet. So
yep.
All right.
That's why I did it.
Yep. Well, that's it. I think we've been long enough.
Oakland lost by 44 to Boise.
Yes, I like that though. I can't believe the line's only 23. It was like 27 or 28 against Eastern, and then you saw
they think this is last year's Oakland. This ain't last year's Oakland.
Yeah, no, it ain't last year's Oakland. Nope. Other than that, anything else, you guys? Any late night things you want them to watch before we head off here?
Miami minus 30.5 against Kid State, maybe.
Yeah. I think that might be a good one. So, all right.
Oregon 14.5 against Wisconsin, probably.
Yeah,
on the road. Is that at night too?
It's 6:30.
Yeah, I don't like home dogs in prime time, but
Ohio State's 30 over Northwestern at Wrigley.
I like the.
I'm looking at this
44 there.
I'm looking at Memphis at home, 7 p.m. versus a dog UAB team.
Yes, they're terrible, and Memphis is good. What's the line? 14.5, 17.5?
14.5.
Yeah, I love Memphis. I'm going to.
I think this
right
is
now.
That's a 24+ point game.
Absolutely, UAB is terrible.
Terrible.
Kevin's got to put some pants on and go to the window.
Okay, we got a 2-point game, fellas. 6.5 to go.
Well, we know what we're doing, so we're gonna go partake in.
It's a great time of year, boys. We got the NBA, got college basketball, college football, the NFL. It's lovely. NHL, if you're partake. So.
Kev, as we leave, could you serenade us again with Gaston, please?
No one fights like Gaston. Douses lights as Gaston.
We'll see you next week.